Have you ever wondered how many qualified candidates you might be missing out on simply because your hiring process isn't accessible? Every year, talented professionals are overlooked, not because they lack the skills to do the job and do it well, but because recruitment systems aren't designed with them in mind. Hi, I'm Denis Boudreau. I work with leaders and executives who are no longer willing to overlook disability inclusion and want to transform their leadership approach from inclusive-ish to truly inclusive by championing accessibility. Let's talk about inclusive hiring practices today, because a commitment to diversity means nothing if your hiring process excludes disabled talent before they even get a chance to walk through the door. According to Statistics Canada, only 21% of working age adults with obvious disabilities are employed, compared to 65% of those without disabilities. In the US, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reports a similar gap. Many of these candidates want to work, but face unnecessary barriers in the hiring process. Barriers that have nothing to do with their ability to do the job. So where are these barriers? The most common ones include inaccessible job postings, AI-powered automated screening systems that filter out candidates with gaps in their employment, and interview processes that fail to accommodate different needs. Many companies say they want to hire inclusively, yet their systems are set up in such a way that it locks out the very talent they're trying to attract. Could it also be the case with your systems? Meet Ilyana. She's an autistic 54-year-old Ukrainian-American software engineer who sees the world in colors and images instead of words. For Ilyana, processing information visually comes naturally. She thrives when working with patterns, structures, and problem-solving tasks that involve coding or design. But when asked to verbally articulate complex thoughts on the spot, she struggles to translate those vivid mental images into words. Ilyana excels with technical work, yet traditional interviews filled with open-ended questions, vague expectations, and rapid-fire discussions don't allow her to showcase her strengths in a meaningful way. At her last interview, she was asked to describe a time she had to deal with conflict in the workplace. That question wasn't relevant to the job, nor did it align with how she processes information. She hesitated, struggled to answer, and ultimately didn't get the role, not because she lacked expertise, but because the hiring process wasn't designed to recognize her strengths. Inclusive hiring doesn't require a complete overhaul. It starts with a few intentional shifts. First, make job postings accessible and inclusive. Use clear, jargon-free language, and avoid unnecessary requirements, and ensure postings are compatible with assistive technology. If a role doesn't actually require someone to lift 25 pounds or have excellent verbal communication skills, just don't list those requirements. Second, rethink the interview process. Standard interview favors extroverts and those who communicate in a very specific way. Consider offering structured interview questions in advance, allowing alternative ways to showcase skills, or using work-based assessments instead of traditional interviews. And finally, build flexibility into your hiring process. Not every candidate can complete a 3-hour online assessment or attend an in-person interview at short notice. Offering accommodations isn't giving someone an advantage. It's removing barriers that shouldn't be there in the first place. These are just some examples of what true inclusive hiring practices can look like. The point is not to make exceptions for people, but instead to create a process where everyone has a fair shot at success. So here's your challenge for this week. Take a close look at one part of your current hiring process. Is your job application fully accessible? Are your interviews structured in a way that lets all candidates show their strengths? Choose one barrier, identify its gaps, and commit to improving it. If you're ready to move beyond inclusive-ish and start leading with purpose, hit subscribe and join me for more insights on inclusive leadership. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.